Good evening and welcome to this regular meeting of the Northside Board of Trustees. Before calling the meeting to order, we'd like to take a moment to briefly review some of the rules for conducting our meeting. The order of business for this meeting is set out in the agenda. One item that you may notice on the agenda is called the consent agenda. This item includes things that are considered routine and or are of a recurring nature. All the items listed under the consent agenda will be acted upon in one motion. If there is a consent agenda item which anyone here would like to address, please sign up to speak to that item, and we will pull it from the consent motion and discuss it separately. The purpose of our meeting is to conduct board business, and for that reason it is held in public. It is not a public forum. However, we do provide the opportunity for audience participation. If there is anyone here who would like to address the board during an agenda item or citizens to be heard portion of the agenda, we ask that you please complete a sign-up sheet located at the entrance to this room. This is so that we do not overlook anyone who would like to speak to the board. We will review the rules for addressing the board later in the meeting. Is there anyone here who would like to sign up for an item and has not done so? Okay. Then the meeting will be officially called to order. Please stand as Trustee Harrell leads us in the invocation and pledges of allegiance.
Almighty and merciful God, we ask your guidance and blessings upon this board, students, parents, patrons, teachers, and administrators as we are assembled here this evening in the common pursuit of this great nation's wealth, our children. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, Dr. Harrell.
Thank you.
Put this away and get the other thing out. At this time, I would like to take the opportunity to welcome some students from the UTSA leadership class who are under the direction of Dr. Mary Osri, who is our principal at Steuben. Would you all stand, please?
Yay,
Yay. Welcome. We appreciate your being here. We hope that the meeting doesn't last too long and that you'll stay till the end. Okay, so after that, there are no items under the public hearing tonight, so we will go forward with the superintendent's report. Dr. Woods?
Thank you, Mrs. Reed, members of the board. Sorry. Thank you, Ms. Reed, members of the board. Just a few items to report tonight, as it's not been that long since the holidays, and there was a little bit of quiet time in that 2-week period. Several of us recently, including several of the members of this board, attended a function sponsored by the state board at Region 20 where we talked about testing and accountability. And I'll say that I was pleased that the state board was willing to hear from educators, from parents, from students, and from business folks about testing and accountability. That is looking like it will be a hot topic in our state in the coming legislative session, and that's probably a good thing. I'm not sure what all we accomplished that night, but the fact that you could put 150 people in a room to have that conversation and have state officials take note of that is in and of itself a positive thing. So thanks to those of you who were able to participate in that event the other night. Also last week, on a much different and frankly much more entertaining note, I went to the Technical Theater Expo. These are the students who work in our theater programs largely in roles that are behind the scenes in set design and makeup and hair and all of that. And the UIL actually has contests for that kind of work. And so some of our most talented students showcase their work. And it was absolutely amazing to see the attention to detail, the kind of work that goes into those those products. Joseph and I were having a conversation about an event that he attended, and it's amazing what those students are able to do and what our staff is able to help facilitate in that work. Really, really neat event. I'll just say briefly from the staff perspective, as I know some of you may mention this, we held in honor of Board Recognition Month in January, we held our former trustee superintendent luncheon on Friday. Had, as you all know, a great turnout. Lots of folks with lots of longevity on this board, going back to the 60s in some cases. And I think the takeaway for me, I guess as it always is what a family that group is, whether they served on that board 50 years ago or just a few years ago. Their connection to the school district through family and their personal connection is truly, truly impressive, and that is always a really joyful event. This past Saturday, and I know this has been covered in media, so we held a recognition to honor the 50th anniversary of the Marshall Basketball State Championship, 1966 team. Of the 15 players on that team, 13 were able to be with us. The head coach and his family were able to be with us. It was a wonderful event, and rather than replay it for you myself, I'm going to use the words of one of the players who was there in an email he wrote to Stan Lang. So he says, just a note to say hello and to thank you, your staff, the John Marshall administration, and the entire Northside ISD family for the great time you showed the 1966 Ram basketball team this past weekend. I was blown away with all the effort and thought to detail that was shown to us. Please be certain that the event superseded our expectation. We are all humbled by the outcome of your work. One nice touch that was noticed was the class act shown by the Marshall and Clark teams, which remained during the halftime presentation rather than go to the locker room. Please convey our regards and thanks to the Marshall and Clark coaches and teams for their class act. Thanks again for all of you do for athletes, both young and old, of Northside School District. I thought that was pretty neat,
nice.
pretty nice tribute. So a couple of other items here. We have begun work on our budget for 16-17. We'll be bringing to the board in a called meeting in February the kind of first blush look at what we anticipate revenues would look like, and perhaps a little bit of conversation on the expense side of the ledger. I think one of the issues that we're going to have to think about as we plan, just as the state will, is what will be the impact of the price of oil to the state budget going forward. And I think that's something we're going to have to think about and anticipate perhaps more than we have in the past. So before we go to the video moment, I do want to show you one other thing, and that's a new part of our website that folks in communications created. And the title of this portion of the website is called Board in Action. So what you see in kind of a running order are pictures of trustees at various and sundry events, some of which you probably knew were taken and others you didn't know. So now you will. And those will be, that'll be a running record of all of the many, many things that you do in our community and with our kids. A great idea by the folks in communications to chronicle all of those wonderful things that you do in the community. I think it's a great tribute given Board Appreciation Month to roll that out. So wanted to point that out to you as an FYI. All of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. It's neat. So we'll transition now to, if you can move that quickly, Monica, you ready? To video moment. And total change of direction. We're going to look at ballroom dancing at Linton Elementary.
Wow.
Linton. I'll show you.
Linton Elementary students are ballroom dancing, and they look so cute learning these very elegant and formal dances. The classes started when a local dance company wanted to give back to the community and expose children to more of the arts who might not otherwise have this opportunity.
5, 6, 7, in.
We're dancing, we get to express ourselves and everything. It's like, I give it like 10 thumbs up.
Slow across. Slow and then quick, bring the head back.
Alexander Gutierrez and his classmates have been taking dance lessons since the start of the school year. They meet once a week for an hour after school. So far, the children have learned the rumba and the waltz. And today, for the first time, they're learning the foxtrot, a dance that consists of 2 slow and 2 quick steps. 5th grader Desiree Mata loves all the dances as she realizes the commitment and discipline that goes along with learning the dance techniques.
Make sure you take 2 steps. Quick.
The same about them is you have to keep the steady beat and listen to the music so you could get the steady beat. And it's different because you go different ways. And there's sometimes different beats you have to listen to.
This opportunity has opened a whole new world to Desiree, who now wants to grow up and become a professional dancer and instructor. And yet other students see dance class as simply a chance to let loose and have fun.
I like how we get to communicate with people, just having friends. I think of this a friendship of we just hanging around, just dancing.
As soon as you signal me, you're taking a step. There you go, with your left leg. Then you cross with your right. And then you take a step with your left and you face me. And then you close.
Oh, okay.
Yeah? Makes sense?
Their instructor has seen her students transform over the past few months as their confidence level elevates. They have also developed their team building skills.
I remember probably the first day we started, the boys didn't even want to get in frame, which dancing with an actual girl.
But now, as you can see, it is quite a different story.
When we do the twist and the turn, that's sort of my favorite part because at the end I get to twist the girl because I just twisting the girl. I feel like I'm just creating a tornado. I'm just going like that.
Quick, slow.
The nonprofit Kiki's Kids Dance Foundation and Studio One are able to offer the classes because of grant money they received.
Linton and Cable Elementary were selected based on their need. Their limited partnerships with a fine arts organization to provide dance or any other kind of fine art.
And the results are amazing. Happy, confident children who are learning the art of dance. The Dance Foundation hopes to continue offering the free classes and even offer the opportunity to more Northside schools as they continue to apply for more grants to fund the project. Tuition-based ballroom dance is also available through Studio One at Mireles, Leon Springs, and McAndrew Elementary Schools. Any Northside Elementary students can register for the classes.
A great example of an enrichment program, how students are able to do something they really enjoy outside of the school day. With that, Ms. Reed, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Probably some of the boys weren't enjoying it to start with, but I think they probably got to enjoy it later on, which is good, and twirl those girls around. Thank you so much for that report, and now we'll have reports from board members. Are there any board members who would like to make a report? Mr. Lopez?
Thank you, Katie. I just wanted to just touch on or bring attention to about 2 weeks ago, Brandeis High School, the principal, Dr. Jerry Berger, one of her students, or one of her instructors, teachers, Jacqueline Aguirre, she was awarded the Texas Dance Education of the Year at the TD. Let me see if I get this right. TDEA. I thought it was just worthy to mention. I mean, she's an excellent dance teacher at Brandeis High School, has built the ballet dance company, and has really been a good model for the dance students. So I just thought I would bring attention to that and let you guys know that that was awarded to her.
Want to talk about reading books with the officials?
well, yeah.
Let him finish first.
She's actually scheduled to be recognized by the board next month. Jackie.
Sure. Yeah, and then I also did have a chance to be at the, I think it was Linton Elementary as well, where we had the NBA referees come in and they were reading to the kids. I forgot the name of the story, but they were allowing the students to read a story, and they asked certain questions. And what was unique about this is that they made references to basketball references, basically. Let's pass on the story, or let's pass on a passage to the next student. And so it was very unique, and I think the students enjoyed it. It was interesting to see, and it was really good to see that. And the instructors there were very positive about it, and even the referees, and it was just good to see the kids overall be a part of that, and it just encouraging reading again. And I really enjoyed that along with Katie. So, but
It was
thank
a
you very much.
fun opportunity.
Yes, it was great.
They actually, the officials said that they normally do this when they're traveling around the country to referee certain games, and normally with sixth graders. And this was a group of fifth graders, and they said, "You are every bit as great as the sixth graders." And that was after sitting still for an hour and a half. Mhm. So, yeah, just thought we needed to share that information. Okay, Dr. Harrell.
Yes, I just wanted to kind of piggyback on what Dr. Woods had mentioned. There was a wonderful collection of parents, school board members, educators, and students last week garnering our input on the state's assessment and accountability system. And there were a lot of patterns and trends. I think probably the top one was allowing students to have multiple methods of showing that they know. To include not just the STAR assessment, but portfolios, projects, things like that. So that kind of went around the entire room. One thing I did want you to know tonight is that the board president, the State Board of Education president, did say if we had any other feelings or opinions about the accountability system or the assessment system in Texas, to go ahead and email directly. And so I've been doing that, but it's at the TEA, the Texas Education Agency webpage, and that's where you find the State Board of Education email address, and it's just SBOE support at TEA.texas.gov. And so I think one thing that I've realized in my many years in education is that parents and students and families really do have a voice, and this would be one way. And the president actually was walking around and really listening to all the groups. I think, for the first time I was sharing with Dr. Woods, I really did feel like they were listening. I'm not sure what actions will take place, but that was the first time in my many years that that many people were able to express their opinions, and that there were patterns of commonalities among all those groups. The other was, again, Saturday, I couldn't have been prouder of a group of men that represented, each one of them had gone on to do incredible things. And of course, I love the Marshall Rams, and they're always close to my heart. But, they were grandparents, they were business leaders, they were on boards in other areas. Each one of them had really given back to this world in an incredible way, other than just really staying healthy and happy. And they were indeed very grateful. It was wonderful. I did not know that Ted Dockery had graduated from Harlandale High School, so I like the Harlandale connection. So that was kind of a nice touch. But really, their families were so proud of them. And I think that was, there was an official that is a friend of ours that said he had never seen a school district honor athletes like that, especially ones, the older athletes, as the email had said. So that was wonderful. And then thank you very much, staff, for the wonderful superintendent and board recognition luncheon. It was terrific, and that's the other thing. It's really listening to storytelling of of Northside years ago, and how those values have just permeated and have consistently remained in Northside. It really, I walked away with a lump in my throat, speaking with someone who had been a superintendent back when I was a student here. And, Ed Cody just has stories to tell, but everything was done with a handshake and a promise. And really, that's the way we still operate today. They were very complimentary of Dr. Woods and our current board and our teachers and our educators and our families. And that's one thing that everyone had to share and kind of still brings us together, even though we're 105,000 students and 116 schools. We're still small in the way we get things done here. So thank you all very much, too.
Thank you, Dr. Harrell. For the people back there, we have 3 chairs up here if anybody wants to come sit. Going once. Okay. Yeah, There's 3 of them over there in case anybody wants to come sit. I know you're trying to take notes. Are you one of the students from UTSA?
Welcome.
Welcome. Yeah, we welcomed you all already.
Glad to have you anyway.
Yeah, so, okay, Ms. Chumley.
During January, Board Appreciation Month, schools invite us to their campuses and they do a recognition. And so I want to thank Chuck Baldridge and Julie Swears and David Aslan, because I was invited to Stevenson. And I want to show you what these kids did. I'm going to tell you, it really, really touched my heart. There's a young woman named Basma Al-Sagar, and she's an art student at Stevenson, and she did an oil portrait, and she used that picture on the ball to paint it from.
Oh, my gosh.
And I can't remember if she's 6th or 7th grade, but isn't that amazing? I mean, I was so touched. And then what she did is she did a banner, and these are all things that I'm interested or involved in that she put on it. So I wanted to share that with y'all, because I just really thought that was a lot for a student to be willing to do, and that she did it in oils. And I look really young, so I'm actually going to frame it and use it as a portrait in my house.
She looks really young, too.
Because I told her how wonderful, you kept me young now forever. And then there were 3 students, Krista Newman, Ayana Bamba, Phoenix Herrera, and it was edited by Jesse Lane, and they wrote me a poem. They created a poem, and I just want to read just the very last 2 lines. It says, "May you feel the weight of gratitude through our poem." And I just was truly, truly touched that the kids did that and took that time to do the effort. So I just really wanted to thank them and to thank everyone, because, we get this recognition during January, but it is really our honor. It is really, it is an honor for us to be able to serve in this position and to serve our communities. And we are the ones that are grateful for having such tremendous administrators, teachers, and students. Oh my gosh, and our parents. I mean, you hear about, I have friends, I work at a large financial conglomerate, and I have parents that come and talk to me all the time about their school district, and the first thing I'll say is, well, what district are you in? I'm like, well, you're in the wrong district. You need to move to Northside. I don't know what to tell you, because some of the things that they tell me, I'm just thinking that doesn't happen in Northside. I mean, our staff, everyone from our support staff, our custodians, our food service, they care about our kids, and it's really an honor, and I'm just so grateful to have the opportunity to be part of this Board of Trustees and to serve with an amazing superintendent and the board that I serve with. Y'all are wonderful, and so I'm just very grateful. Just 2 things I wanted to remind everyone. Well, first off, we haven't met since we had the Holmes football luncheon, and I wanted to let you know it went really well. The kids were just amazing. They're all dressed in their ties. And, what I think is so amazing about Holmes, and I know I brag on them a lot, though I love all of our athletics, and I think our coaches do an outstanding job. But Eddie Salas and Pete Pruneda and Coach Miller, Ryan Miller, they just do an outstanding job. And you would not have known that this group had not won the state with their attitude. They are just outstanding young men. And they were so excited, and you would have thought that they had a completely winning season. And that's one thing that I just so admire about that group, is that no matter what the win-loss record is at the end of the school year, those athletes just really think that they have been successful, and they have been. And that is a direct correlation to what their coaches tell them and how they talk to them about being men. So I just, I really want to thank the coaches at Holmes and the kids. They've done a tremendous job. And just one reminder to the board that the Walter Gerlach Livestock Show starts next week, Tuesday through Thursday. The animals will be showing, the kids will be showing. And I can't remember what year we are, 44? I think this is the 44th year. But we actually added up all the monies that the Gerlach Show has raised from when it started in 74? Is that right? 70, I can't get my math right. Anyway, a long time ago. We raised $14 million so far for scholarships for kids. And the money goes directly to the students. And I'm very proud of it. I've been a volunteer with it for almost 40 years. And so it's just, so if y'all have a chance, come out and watch the kids show. If not, the sale is on Saturday, and we'd love to have anyone there that can make it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Freeman?
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Reed. Just a additional perspective of the board superintendent luncheon that we've been talking about. As I sat there, and it was expressed at the luncheon by not only Dr. Woods, but some other people who had the opportunity, we all had an opportunity to say a few words. As I looked around the room, I thought about the role that each of the prior board members and SUPs had, the role that they've played in the culture of the board that we have today. And how much that means to all of us. The culture meaning our commitment to the school district, integrity, respect that we have for each other. It's not something we take for granted. And I do appreciate the role that people that have gone before us have had to play in that. And we don't take any of that for granted. We work at it a lot, and we enjoy doing that for our community. Also, just a thank you too. I know Bobby and Katie. I don't know if there was Gerald. You were at the council offices. The mayor recognized school board trustees across the city during School Board Appreciation Month, and Bobby serves, as many of you know, as president of the Bexar County School Board Coalition. So I know the mayor said a few words, and the council members had an opportunity to speak to that recognition. But I do appreciate that and the acknowledgement of what school boards do across the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Bobby?
I think next time I push my button first. I had to follow everything that's been said so far, which has been great. Just two quick items, and thank you, Trustee Freeman. Yeah, it was actually I had the proclamation here that was presented to all of the school boards, and it was just great to see everybody. Literally, we had all the school districts there, with one exception. So it's the first time, as far as I know, in the history of San Antonio that they've done something for all the school boards, all in one location, all on one day last week. So that was really great. The other one I had the opportunity to visit Morales Elementary, and I actually had a Q&A session with about 30 students, if I remember correctly. And I would tell you this, that group, I had thought they took a board training class, because those were the best questions I had ever seen. And I still have difficulty. They always ask me that one, and I still don't know how to answer it. I try. I don't know what I said. But it's that one about us getting paid.
Yeah.
I said, why don't y'all get paid? I come up with something, but one day I got to learn how to answer that question. But it was a wonderful occasion. And I'll share this. I'll pass this around. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I'll get everybody a copy of it, too. Okay? That's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Lopez, you didn't have anything else, all right. Mr. Medina.
I'll try to keep it short. I wanted to recognize Meadow Village, Miss Frederick's staff for being the recipient of $22,000 donated by AT&T. Myself and Senator Menendez was there to recognize the staff. There were 6 educators who wrote for the grant and were successful in receiving that, and that was through donorschoose.org, donorschoose.org. And it was a huge success. As well, I was 2 places at one time that evening. I was there, and then I was invited to internet safety course. That was with Mr. Davenport and Fisher Elementary. It was hosted through a survey that was presented to the parents of how the campus can embed or teach the community, and one of the requests was internet safety for their children. And Officer or Detective Segura from SAPD were there to present, and the presentation was so well. It left a lasting impact, I believe, it was a room of approximately 40 parents, and it explained to and reiterated that it's an obligation that they take that responsibility of those electronic devices in their home when it's being handed to them, and where parents hold that ownership in any and all activities they do or perform on those electronic devices. And so I wanted to also recognize Fisher Elementary and Mr. Davenport for presenting that internet safety to the community, especially of the events that took place just recently in our community. As well, I attended the Marshall State recognition for our 50th year state championships. And it was a tremendous ceremony, but also a wonderful game. So it was a nail biter till the bitter, and Marshall was fighting tooth and nail to keep it within 4 or 2, and finally climbed up and just went up on 2, and within 10 seconds, one of the Clark Cougar boys just went across the court and
Swished.
shot a three-pointer and was successful, and Clark won with 1 point.
By 1 point.
And so I just it was a tremendous game. Even though we were there to recognize our Marshall Rams, Clark prevailed. And lastly, I wanted to I was also invited to the production of The Wizard of Oz at Clark High School, same night. And how amazing and how talented our children are. They are, exceeds expectations. The challenges we put out there, our staff, Mr. Johnson, who's the assistant director, welcomed me, and the students. I had such a wonderful experience. I was explaining how my second grader just talked about it, and I think he's picked up a new goal to become in theater. And so I wanted to recognize our students in their performance of The Wizard of Oz at Clark. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Carl, do you have something else? No. Okay. I guess I would just add a couple of comments. I am a member of a committee at the Chamber for Workforce and Education, and at our last meeting, they were telling us that they have been working on a job sharing for this summer, and they have already solicited 59 employers, and they're going to have 1,700 students that are going to be job sharing or shadowing. So I just thought that was a really good effort. No, I'm sorry, it's not this summer. It's one day on February the 2nd. So if you see students at the workforce that you're at, that's why they're there. But they are also instituting a career fair and educator externships, which would be in the summertime. And that's the one I'm always fearful of, because our teachers go and see how much money everybody else is earning, and they decide to go someplace else. So I'm not encouraging any of our teachers to be a participant in that.
They have received that feedback loud and clear.
Did want to mention that after a lot of work or calls and so forth with the mayor, the superintendent and Bobby and I did meet with the mayor the Monday before the recognition that we received, and just talked about issues not only just with Northside, but for public education in general. wanting to make sure that she had the big picture of what is going on in San Antonio, and not just the focus on the inner city. The one comment that she made when we talked about the Go Public campaign was that she hated it. And we said, why? She said, well, charters are public schools. Now, do y'all believe that? They only get public money. They don't accept everybody, and they are not really what we consider public schools. So just know that that attitude is out there, and make sure people understand that's not really the case. I'll let that go at that. I think that's enough from the board to hear about meetings. I've been to so many meetings I can't remember them all. So at this time, I think we'll move forward, if that's all right with everybody else here, to the next item on our agenda, which is recognitions.
So unlike our normal practice, Mrs. Reed, tonight we're going to ask trustees to stay at the dais, and the rest of us will conduct recognition.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, couldn't figure out a way to make that any quicker. So, as everyone now knows, January each year we recognize Northside trustees, and in fact trustees all across our great state, for the work that you do, as Mr. Blunt indicated, purely on a volunteer basis. There is no compensation for our communities, and for many of us, we know that the most local form of democracy is the neighborhood public school. And those schools are governed by very dedicated, hardworking people that we call trustees. So we have several people and organizations that are here tonight who'd like to thank you for that work in their own way. And we're going to begin with PTA Council President Michelle Montemayor, who's going to start with the presentations. Michelle?
Good evening. On behalf of the Northside Council of PTAs, we would like to present you with small little tokens of our gratitude. We can't thank you enough for the ongoing relationship you have with Northside Council and with our administrators, students, and parents. We appreciate you. We thank you. To Mr. Medina, I'm sorry on behalf of Clark. I'm a Clark parent. But we appreciate you. Thank you all so much for all your service.
Thank you. Okay, we would love to. You're here tonight.
Dr. Wernley, I think you're next.
Dr. Woods, President Reed, members of the board. I'm here along with other school museum members to thank you for your commitment and service to this school district and your continued interest and support for the Northside School Museum. As most of you know, the mission of the Northside School Museum is to collect, preserve, and share the history of the school district. As a member of the board, you are a contributing member to the history of the school district. Therefore, this evening, we'd like to present each of you with a writing journal so that we can capture some of that history from you. Hopefully, you will find it a useful tool for recording some of your goals, ideas, and accomplishments. Former trustee Dr. Carl Raba stated in a 2006 oral history interview some of his goals that he had for the district when he served as chairman of the board in the late 1970s. He said that as the district gained a strong financial base, one of his major goals was to compensate teachers with the best salary the district could afford. He further stated, and I quote, "I was just darn tired of the district always being left in northeast dust." As trustees, you're part of Northside Stories, and we want to give you a means to share it. And if sometime in the future you would like to donate your journal back to the school museum, it would become a treasured artifact for our historical collection, and it would provide others with the opportunity to know how this district developed and how its history unfolded. Secondly, as we've done in past years, we would like to present each of you with the 2016 School Museum Fiesta Medal. And this year's Fiesta Medal was designed by Victoriana, did I get that right? Victoriana Shannon, who is a senior at Clark High School. Victoriana is here this evening with her mother, Mrs. Shannon, and her ISM teacher, Roxanne Brannon. I'd like them to stand. Victoriana. I misspoke. She is not a senior. She is a freshman.
Wow. Yeah.
I would like to also comment that I have learned that Victoriana is going to be singing in Carnegie Hall
Wow.
in February.
Ah.
Thank you all for everything that you do.
Thank you, Dr. Wernley. While they're bringing these things to the podium up here, I want to make sure that you all get a hold of the people that were with us for lunch last week.
Okay.
Because we had 2 of the original board members on the, plus Ed Cody, who walked around from farm to ranch to get enough signatures in order to form Northside School District. And it was just fascinating to know we have these people right here in our midst that, started Northside. It's hard always to remember how young a district we are when we are so large. And their sons, the 2 elderly gentlemen, their sons brought them. And the sons have been best friends since 2nd grade. I mean, it was just amazing to have that happen at that luncheon. It was just, you need that history. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Katie, the medal's so beautiful.
Oh, good.
Foundation.
Dr. Woods, President Reed, and the members of the board, thank you so much for letting us be here. On behalf of the Northside Education Foundation, it's been a great year for us this last year, and it continues. We continue to sustain our success and the vital role of the Northside ISD community. These past few years, the NEF board has grown really in leaps and bounds in terms of our internal processes and our programs, and we're really excited about that. But none of that would be possible if it wasn't for your support. And so we just want to take the time to really recognize your support and your confidence in us. What you do for our community takes a lot of patience, flexibility, and grit. Not only is this a volunteer position for you, many of you have full-time jobs, or you are involved in very serious, important, multiple volunteer activities that require a huge amount of time. And so we know that in addition to all of that, Northside ISD takes a lot of time and energy, and so does NEF, and we so appreciate what you give to both of those. So we thought that, as busy as you are, it might be good to have a little snack pack to help you whenever you need to do something, or you need a break, or you're just on the go and don't have time to eat. So please accept our this gift as a token of our appreciation for you from the Northside Education Foundation.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. You and Kathy need to stay here for a minute. Stay here for a minute. No, up here. So now I would like to return a little bit of the favor because our PTA organization has made, in our honor, a contribution to NEF.
Very nice.
Thank you.
So I think it's back to me to wrap it up. So I made very purposefully comments about school boards across our state in the opening remarks. Now I want to transition and really just talk about the unique situation that we enjoy here in Northside, in our school district. Not every school district has the kind of cohesive professional board that has existed here for so long, as we've talked about tonight, that culture was built long ago, and that the 8 of us, and many others, but certainly the 8 of us, work very hard to try to continue that culture here in Northside. Your selflessness and the number of hours, and I think we just heard it during board members' reports, that you spend in meetings and attending events, appreciating the work of our teachers and of our students, is unqualified really anywhere that I know. The theme of the School Board Recognition Month this year is Superheroes for Schools, and that certainly exemplifies each of you. You are unsung heroes to all of our employees, our students, and all 600,000 patrons who live in the Northside School District. But as you well know, the district theme this year is I Am Northside Proud. We wanted to present you with a small gift from staff to proclaim that we are Northside Board of Trustees proud, because in fact, were it not for the 7 of you, none of us would have the success that we enjoy today. So Monica's going to pass, Monica and Kevin, her assistant Kevin, are going to pass out to you a little theme poster unique to you to thank you for what you do for the people in our school system. Well, one of you, yeah, if one of you would show it, that would be great. So. Great leadership always begins with a willing heart, a positive attitude, and a desire to make a difference. Please join me, all of the folks in the audience, as we applaud these local leaders for truly caring about Northside students, staff, and citizens. Thanks to you all. This concludes our recognition tonight. At this time, we'd like to recommend to the board that we adjourn for a brief reception so that the folks who are gathered here can thank you in person.
Well, we'd definitely like to say, it certainly as a group, that we are so appreciative of you being here and sharing with us tonight. And I would say that for the board, I think all of us are so proud to be a part of Northside. It is just grown by leaps and bounds and still is performing at a very high level across this state. So thank you, and please stay connected with us. And Ariana? No, not Ariana, but that's close. Victoriana. Have a wonderful time singing at Carnegie Hall. I think that's just fascinating. So thank you so much for your efforts. So at this time, we will move out to the lobby, unless somebody else had something they wanted to say. No. Okay. Oh, right. The board needs to stay in front here just for a minute and get a picture, because somebody wants it, a PTA wants it, I think.
o'clock, so we'll look at it first thing. Okay.
Hello? Yeah. We can have the board members back in the boardroom, please, so we can continue. Yeah. So now we have lots of seats for everybody. So we certainly thank everyone for being here to help with the recognitions for the school board. It does take time, but it's for the right reasons and for the education of our children to make sure that our world progresses in a good fashion. So we still do have one report, and that is the foundation's report. Kathy, are you going to do it?
I am. Thank you so much. So this is the annual report of the Northside Education Foundation that we present to the Northside ISD Board trustees. So Dr. Woods, President Reed, and trustees. NEF strengthened its relationship with its invaluable community business partners and volunteers, and it's evident in some of Northside Education Foundation's increased fundraising totals and scholarship and grant award allocations. So here you see our fundraisers for this year. NEF's Gala had the most significant increase, raising almost $47,000 more from the previous year. So we're really excited about that. We've been trying some new things these past few years to mix the right formulas across the fundraising portfolio. One example is the NEF replacing the fall golf tournament with a sporting clay shooting tournament. So that was, we've done that now 2 years, and we're excited about it. I'll expect that we'll be reporting even better totals on all those fundraising items next year when we make our report to you, but we had an awesome year this year. So the foundation maintained the amount awarded as part of its successful grants programs and various designated funds, including scholarships. And the endowment grew and is now a healthy $4.4 million. So we have a successful maintenance of assets this year. One of the foundation's functions is to act as a conduit for donations from a variety of sources like individuals, business partners, and other foundations. And this allows them to benefit from our nonprofit status and designate funds to specific programs or campuses. And this is a list of all of our designated funds. So we've had a real, there's still more. Real healthy year, and we're excited about where we're going in the future, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I just remember back when we were struggling to get the first million, and now all of a sudden here we are at 4. It's just great. And I would say that the teachers in the schools certainly appreciate the opportunity for them to have something extra to do that extra thing in their classrooms. So, okay. The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. I don't believe we had anybody signed up to speak to the consent agenda. So if not, Ms. Chumbley?
I just have one question of Leroy. Leroy, and I apologize for missing the building.
Turn your mic.
Is your mic on? I don't have it on. Leroy, I just have one question. I apologize for missing the building committee meeting the other day. On item number, I'm sorry, let me get to it. Item F, the contractor for the security lobbies. Yes. What experience do they have?
They did the last round.
Okay, that's what I just wanted. The name just didn't seem familiar. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Those of you that have a copy of the minutes, you'll see there are a lot of items there dealing with awarding jobs to contractors. That's because we're still continuing to do a lot of work to renovate schools. 50% of this last bond issue that we raised is going to older schools to make sure that they stay in good shape. And of course, the security lobbies are there for the security of our elementary students. So we're in the process of trying to get them into all of those schools, and there are 75 elementary schools. So think about that one. It takes a while. So they will not all be done in this bond issue. If there are no other questions, do I hear a motion?
Yeah, I'll move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Let me get down to where, after the end of that. We're now ready for citizens to be heard. And I do have to read something else to you about our citizens to be heard. If I can find the right piece of paper here. I guess it's on the back of this, isn't it? We believe that citizens to be heard is important and meaningful, and we will listen to what you have to say. We value your opinions, although we are restrained by law from taking any action on them. So we ask you to please use the podium, address your remarks to the board, and confine your remarks to an NISD policy or practice. Limit your remarks to 3 minutes. At 2 minutes, the board secretary will hold up the yellow card, and at 3 minutes, she will hold up the red card. We ask that you wrap up your remarks at that point. You don't need to stop in mid-sentence. Do not make personal attacks on individuals. And we ask you not to have any applause during this process. So with that having been said, I'm sorry. I'm allergic to cedar, and went out in the lobby, and it was just, the door's been open too many times. So, at this time, we would ask for Amanda Ford to come. And state your name for the record, please.
My name is Amanda Ford. I begin?
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Amanda Ford, and I'm a proud teacher at Stevenson Middle School. I'm also a proud member of Northside AFT, and this is my 17th year as a teacher, which is my lucky number. And to commemorate that, I thought I would take advantage of this opportunity to speak to you this evening. I know that you all are aware more than anyone of the tremendous growth in this district. And when I go to the website and I read your updates, it's just mind-boggling. And so that makes me even more proud and privileged to be a part of this. And I know that you all have the privilege of visiting our campuses to see the connections that happen and to see the smiling faces and the success that happens every day. And I will say that I'm very passionate about what I do, and I know you'll agree that teaching, educating, it's a part of us. It's not something that we log off. It's not something that we shut down or put away at the end of each day. It's always with us. And what you do is even more commendable because you do it voluntarily on your own time. And what I do would not be possible without you all. So I'm here to say thank you on behalf of so many people. And I'm here with several people from Northside AFT. We brought a small token of appreciation, and Terry and Wanda are here to help distribute those. I hope you know that while the token is small, the appreciation behind it is great and very sincere. Thank you so much for your commitment and for your support of education, and thank you for giving me the chance to speak to you this evening. I wish you all a happy and successful school year.
Thank you. Thank you. We will definitely have to share these. Okay. It's nice too. Very nice. I guess we should have had you on at the earlier agenda item, huh?
It's okay to extend.
It's okay. Okay, Wanda, don't sit down too long. You're next.
Good evening, Madam President Reed. Good to see you there, and Dr. Woods and esteemed board members. Of course, you know I'm Wanda Longoria, and I'm a reading specialist at Stevenson Middle School. We've been showcased tonight. It's wonderful to see that. And I'm also on the leadership committee of Northside American Federation of Teachers. I came to speak to you about a concern that was brought to our attention by some of our members at the beginning of the year. Many of our members called in our office and expressed concern regarding the Texas Ed Code Section 21404, which entitles every Texas public school teacher time to plan and preparation, which can be used for parent-teacher conferences, evaluating student work, and planning at the teacher's discretion. The law states that teachers must have at least 450 minutes of planning time every 2 weeks in increments of no less than 45 minutes during the instructional day. According to the Commissioner of Education, if a district gives teachers no more than the statutory minimum planning time, the district cannot ask teachers to engage in group planning time during one of those planning periods. And this is what they brought to our as a concern to us. Now, while teachers are not at all against planning, in fact, many praised the district for the ability to plan with their colleagues and for the work that it took to make the schedules that way so they could work. Concerns were being voiced about the number of days that they were being asked to meet, and in some cases, asked in a mandatory way that they had to meet 2 to 3 days a week. When we met with Dr. Woods, myself and Texas AFT Rep. James Howard in December to discuss this matter, as in the past, Dr. Woods was very open to our concerns, and we explained that early on we handled these issues very carefully because we know the demands at the beginning of the year, and we didn't want that to be something that would, change the situation there. But when the concerns continued after the beginning of the year, we thought it would be in our members' best interest to possibly conduct a survey and then share those results with Dr. Woods and the board. So we thank Dr. Woods for addressing the issue as well, because earlier that month he had a principals meeting, and the principals were aware that this is an issue, and many have begun to have that dialogue on their campuses. I know at our campus, our principal mentioned that for real level planning to be effective, that it needed to be team-driven, and that the team needed to be the ones to decide how often they needed to plan, based, of course, on the needs of the level. And so we shared other incidents with Dr. Woods, and we do know that campuses are having this serious dialogue. We do know it continues to be looked at because at this past NCN meeting, the question was once again asked, and while an answer was given, some of the members didn't feel satisfied that the planning period during the instructional day is being honored as they would like to see it honored. More is being asked of us every year, and I know this is the year that we try to move forward. And reading specialists, I know, filled out surveys. I also know special ed is doing that as well. We know that it takes a lot to work together, to listen to our concerns, to be able to offer insightful options.
Can you wrap it up?
Yes.
Wanda,
and
please.
so we want to thank you for giving us that opportunity to just bring this to the forefront. And thank you again for all that you do to help support us and keep us being the teachers that we've seen stories about tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wanda. Okay, Patrick Irwin.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm speaking on behalf of the nomination to name a school after Margie Irwin, and I'm Pat Irwin, and I'd like to start off by thanking the NISD board for providing me the opportunity to speak, and for all these fine people for coming out supporting their community on a Tuesday evening. I am the youngest of Margie Irwin's 5 children. I am also a member of the first graduating class of Thomas C. Clark High School in 1980. So I am a product of the Northside education system. I'm Northside proud and personally grateful to the many Northside teachers, coaches, and administrators for providing me with a sound education foundation. And being that I graduated from Clark, also went to Marshall for 2 years there, so I got both bases covered. For my mom, Margie Irwin, education was a core mainstay in her life, starting early as an honor roll student in valedictorian Devine, Texas High School class of 1949. She identified education and the continuous pursuit of learning as essential ingredients in a purposeful life. When I started the kindergarten, my mom started her career in education, graduating summa cum laude from St. Mary's University in 1970, and later earned her master's degree from guidance and counseling from UTSA in 1979. Her career with Northside spanned 37 years, starting as an English teacher before being recruited to lead and design the implementation of the district's Gifted and Talented Program, or GT program, the program known today as Alpha. At the time, she had to be a pioneer in the field, as there were no formal state programs to evaluate. Her guiding inspiration was to develop education programs to more effectively identify and develop higher ability and gifted students. She felt strongly that this promising set of students and young adults were underserved by traditional education programs, and so she set out to bring about change. The early success of the program and the ensuing long list of innovation accomplishments not only had a measurable impact on the lives of countless students, but also served to establish a gold standard model for Northside and numerous other GT educational programs to adopt and replicate. It is my understanding that the Northside Alpha program includes more than 9,000 students today. Our mom was very proud to have been trusted with the opportunity to make the GT program a reality. Those who knew Margie recognized that her contributions were exceptional, and that she led by example unselfishly. Never did she promote herself at the expense of others. Always did she encourage and inspire. Her heart was in the right place, and the impact was positive and strong. For my family to name a Northside school in the memory and honor of our mom's contributions would be a wonderful, just, and appreciated gesture. However, even without the honor of Margie B. Irwin School, many memories will not be affected. Each time we see the NISD logo on a school, stadium, or elsewhere, our hearts and minds will turn to a truly special, good, and talented person who helped make the school district the fine one that it is today. Thank you.
Thank you. I know we're not supposed to really have dialogue with you, but I want to ask a question real quickly. Is her application has it been sent in to Northside?
Yes, it has.
Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to know. Okay. I think we have one more person who would like to talk, and that is our ex-superintendent, Mr. Ed Rawlinson. Welcome, Ed.
Well, thank you, Ms. Reed and members of the board. It's hard to believe that it's been 14 years since I've been to a school board meeting.
I bet you don't miss it, right?
No, it just goes to prove the old adage about time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
I'm here also to endorse the nomination of Margie Irwin for school name. Everything that Patrick said is true, and I want to elaborate on that a little bit. In the middle 70s, Northside didn't have a GT program, and neither did any other district in Texas. And she was hired to start that. And she did a terrific job of setting up the structure, but she went way beyond that. And she created a culture. And the culture, for example, with teachers, was to establish a style and a mindset that they're not the sage on the stage, but they're the guide on the side. And the focus is on the student. And what she tried to create was a situation where teachers nurture the creativity of students and to work with them on things like goal setting and organizational skills, time management, task commitment, and collaboration. She, over a period of years, created various components of the GT program, the elementary program, middle and high school program, an accelerated program in middle school math, activities like the Mentathlon, and at the high school level, the independent study mentorship program. And that particular component was adopted by the state as part of their model GT program for other districts to consider. I recently, like 2 days ago, received an email which included a flyer for an upcoming meeting of Phi Delta Kappa, which you may know is an association of educators that really focuses on their professional growth and their ability to enhance programs back in their school districts. They look at proven research and innovations and best practices. And the flyer advertised the fact that Roxanne Brown, who was here earlier, is the GT teacher at Clark High School, and one of her students is going to make a presentation to the group. And it's about the ISM program. And the name of that presentation just really resonated with my message to you. It is the Independent Study Mentorship Changing Lives. What I heard even 14 or 15 years ago was that program changed lives, that it was not the typical teaching situation in the classroom for the teacher and the student, but it's a year-long activity where the student focuses on a major project and has a mentor from the community. And there are countless stories of how that experience changed the lives of students. And that's what they're going to tell PDK next month. Margie was an exceptional pioneer, and the program she developed changed lives. And that's the kind of person that should have a school named for them.
Thank you. Thank you, Ed.
There are a number of other people here tonight that I'd like to have them either stand or wave their hand that they didn't sign up to speak. We didn't want to take too many of the speaking engagements, but there are teachers, there are co-workers, there are parents, other people here, so.
Here they are. You stand up. Thank you, and thank you all for being here, really. And somehow I lost a piece of paper in there, so I skipped somebody. Tony Gonzalez?
Good evening, Madam President Reed, Dr. Woods, and esteemed members of the school board. I'm Terry Gonzalez, co-lab teacher at Linton Elementary. I'm here to speak with you concerning the legislative agenda this year. Northside AFT is currently and actively working to educate our community about the importance of the primaries this year. Much is up for grabs with several legislative seats open. We are focusing on several of the races and are meeting with candidates to ask questions about their views regarding public education, charters and privatization of schools, funding for schools, testing, and other important topics. We have scheduled block walks to involve our members and hope to see more of them get involved in the political process, especially during the primaries and early voting. This year at our AFT legislative agenda meeting, we vowed to work on both sides of the aisle with legislators who have been education-friendly towards public schools in their voting record. Please know we will be sharing whatever information we have with Dr. Woods and with you, the board. We, of course, wait to hear from the candidates and their campaigns and look forward to working with NISD and hopefully engaging our members in political educational opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Okay, so that's the end of citizens to be heard. The next item that we have on our agenda is facilities and operations. And I actually asked this to be pulled from the consent agenda because I felt it was important for some of you who have not heard this presentation at a board meeting to understand what we're talking about. So, Leroy? Thank you.
Ms. Reed. Again, this is a recommendation for the award of contractor for Hardin
complex, the soccer facility building. As Ms. Reed mentioned, she requested that we give you a brief presentation. It's been a while since you've seen this particular project. So I have Joel Hernandez from Next Gen that will give us a short presentation.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Woods, members of the board. I think the last time we may have presented to the board or to the entire board, actually, please, was back in April, I believe, prior to us issuing these documents. So just a quick overview. Basically, what we're proposing is this area here for the new soccer building. These are your two existing fields, and this area here indicates the access drive on Loop 410 that most of you are probably familiar with. Just to orient you, that's the Anne Marie Tennis Center. Okay, so just to give you, in case you haven't had a chance to go by there recently, this is what your existing facility looks like. Basically a trailer with a canopy over it. And it has served its purpose in a very fine way.
Yeah, that was kind.
I know I didn't make it sound that way.
It's more like a shed.
As it was coming out, I just couldn't stop. But
I actually thought it was more eloquent than the facility deserves. I really did.
Thank you, Dr. Woods. Appreciate the help. We're also proposing as part of this project to provide you a new film tower, which will sit directly between the two fields at the mid line. Currently, this is what they use. So one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we have on the second level of this facility, that's the area for coaches, the scorekeepers, all those kinds of things. So we wanted to make sure that they had a clear view to the existing scoreboard so we wouldn't have to spend additional money to relocate those. So as you can see, that works out fine. In addition to that, we're also providing proper access to the bleachers on both sides. So that's also incorporated as part of the project. So we will be providing a walk that currently does not exist to that bleacher area, as well as continuing over to where the Anne Marie is, because that's where the facilities, other facilities, support facilities will exist. Simple plan. It's only a 900 square foot building, so we basically have a ticket office. So as you come in, you'll be able to purchase your ticket and go through the gate. We'll have a small vending area, and then in addition to that, we'll have on the lower level a first aid and officials area. Second floor, as I mentioned, is a viewing deck, so this will be a place for coaches, scouts, and as well as the scorekeepers.
Maybe even a school board member or so.
And a school board member or two. Simple building. Once again, we took our cues from the existing buildings that have been developed as part of the Hardin complex. So we're wanting to make sure that we fit in, and that at the end of the day, when we're complete with this project, that it looks like it's always been there and been part of this entire sports complex. And here's the front view. And that's it.
Okay. Any questions from board members?
It's nice. I've got a couple.
Okay.
And I'll have to admit, I
You're going to turn your mic on.
Sorry, guys, I forget that. I haven't been to a soccer game in a while. But I was going to ask Bobby, that seems like a really small vending area. How much of a crowd do we get at soccer games?
Not very many.
Go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah, well, to be honest, they're pretty small, but it's actually been picking up because you're starting to see more of the campuses, the other athletes now supporting us across the board. So it's actually starting to be a lot larger than it was a couple of years ago. But if you want to estimate a number, I'd say a couple hundred.
Couple hundred. I was
for
just
a normal game.
And I know that thank you, Bobby. And I know that we had talked about an ice machine. I do remember that.
Yes, it's there.
That we had talked about the ice machine and we had problems with that.
Right.
And
No, we have that included, and I also would like to clarify, this is a vending area. One of the things that the city requires is once we call it a concession building and you're actually preparing food, and that's the difference. This would
Right.
be prepackaged food, so we're talking about popcorn that's already in a bag and sealed, chips, candy, Cokes that are cans and not fountain, those kinds of things. Once we start making hot dogs or nachos or things of that nature, now we're a concession, which then requires a whole lot of other things that really will drive the cost on this
Right, because I know that that was part of what we had talked
Yes,
about,
ma'am.
except the ice machine was one thing that we didn't want to have to give up.
Right.
We put the ice machine in the first aid officials
First aid
because
officials.
from time to time, injuries
Right.
require you have
Right.
ice.
Right.
But it's large enough to support both, so they'll be able to stock it at the beginning of the tournament or
The
games.
vending area will be able to support. Okay.
Exactly. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So, Mrs. Reed, just to remind the board, the action item is actually we're asking for action on award of this project to a contractor. I'll remind the board of some conversation in the past. This is not a bond-funded project. This is something we identified outside of that and set aside funds locally to do this work. So attached to this agenda item is the recommendation from staff on the award of contract.
Okay.
Leroy, remind us, there was something about this, I'm trying to remember, it's been a long time since we talked about this. There was something about this, though, the building was coming in a lot more than what we had
That's
thought.
correct.
That it was going to, and,
We had one initiative that had the athletic upgrades at the high schools and some of the middle schools, and we put this together. And then it was about timing as well. So it was two issues that were driving some of the cost. If you remember, we had to reject this particular part of it because it was way out of their budget.
right,
So we made contacts with contractors, talked to them about bidding and timing and things of that nature, and they pretty much said separate them, bid it separately, bid it at this time, not this time, which is now, and you're going to get a better price.
so we think we've addressed the issue by what
Absolutely.
was
As a matter
done,
of
by
fact,
pulling it out
We
and
were
bidding it
originally
now.
at 718,000.
Yeah.
Now we're at
Our original
504.
price. We didn't change anything in the building except repackage it, put it out as a single project, and now we're.
And now we're more in
If
line.
if you notice on
Yeah.
the evaluation, there were 10 bidders.
So that was already a big difference to begin with. We
Yeah.
only had, I believe, two or three,
Mm-hmm.
or two, the first go around. So pricing was significantly higher. And once again, I want to reiterate, we did not change anything on this
Correct.
project whatsoever from one to the other. So although we got a lower cost, we didn't change anything in the building. Timing was everything.
That was the right thing to do. I appreciate that y'all were on top of that.
Good.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I was going to mention that we had 10 bidders on this job, which is really great. That doesn't happen very often. So we need a motion to approve the contractor?
I move that we approve W.R. Griggs Construction to facilitate the Hardin Soccer Complex upgrades.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we approve W.R. Griggs Construction to complete the work at the Hardin Soccer Complex. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. And thank you for coming.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Okay.
CAFRA.
I think we are now ready for some financial information, huh?
Thank
Are
you,
you
Ms.
next?
Reed,
Are you
members
next?
of the board. This evening, as required under the Texas Education Code, the Northside School District is required to prepare and submit a completed set of financial statements to TEA within 150 days of end of year, in this case, August 31. Additionally, those financial statements must be audited by a firm of licensed certified public accountants. This evening, I would like to introduce in the audience the lead partner from Weaver Tidwell, Adam McCain. Adam made a presentation earlier this evening to the Finance Committee, along with myself, to go into the CAFR in detail, some brief detail. And this evening, we'd like to present the CAFR. It is the same report that's in your agenda item this evening is the same report that we did present to the Finance Committee. I probably will keep this even shorter than the Finance Committee. I do want to highlight just a few items in the audit report before you do consider any questions and approving the audit as presented. On page 7, and I'll refer to the PDF document number in your agenda so you can navigate rather quickly. Page 7 is actually report page I. That starts the table of contents. There's several pages which highlights the sections of the audit report. There is an introductory section, a financial section, which is basically the meat of the financial information, statistical section, and then finally the last section is the reporting of the federal programs. Within the introductory section, the highlight of that particular section is the transmittal letter. That is the letter that Dr. Woods and myself actually addressed the board for the highlights of the audit and the presentation of the audit. In the finance section, one of the highlights is also on page 4. It's called the management discussion and analysis. That's a very good narrative of the highlights of the financial report. There's several items in that particular section that typically are included in the district's official statements and preliminary official statements that are used to sell bonds. So there's much consistency in that financial information. I do want to mention also in the basic financial statements, and there's a few schedules I do want to direct attention to and highlight some particular information, but this year the district had to comply with the governing body that sets the rules for the accounting promulgations, and that is generally accepted GASB 68 is particularly what I'm making reference to as it relates to the reporting of the district's participation in the teacher retirement system. All the school districts in Texas had to deal with this issue this year. It was effective for this year. Basically what that does when we report our participation or our piece of the retirement, it affects what we call the government-wide financial statements. It does not affect the fund financial statements, which is typically what we address when we do the budget and we set tax rates to raise resources to pay the particular items outlined in the budget. However, it is a significant adjustment, and there are several references in this particular report for this item. Just to give you a perspective of the amount we're talking about, the beginning balance in our net assets on a government-wide basis was adjusted by somewhere in the neighborhood of $140 million. That particular pension liability, or our share of the pension liability as it's calculated for the end of this year, the reporting period, is about $127 million. So it is a rather significant number. But again, as I had mentioned and explained in Finance Committee, this is something that is more of an accounting in nature than it is dealing with raising funds for our particular budget. Would like to move to the PDF page, document 39. This is the government-wide financial statements. This is the asset piece of it, and I do just want to point out that this particular financial schedule, everything is compressed into government activities. We don't we merge all the activities together, so there are no individual funds that you'll see in a later schedule. But you can see about midway in the middle of this report on line 1705 and 2605, a little further down, there are particular items that are related to this TRS pension. Basically, this is to account for the difference between the information we received from TEA at August 2014, to what's imputed through 2015. Then on page 16 and 17 of the report, that's your PDF document 40 and 41, is actually the statement of activities. This is really what you would normally call a revenue and expense schedule. And again, this is on a government-wide basis. The next schedules I want to bring your attention to is on page 1819. That's your PDF document 4243. This is the balance sheet of our funds. Basically, this is the resulting cash that we have on hand and fund balance that we have on hand as it relates to our budget. So this is something we pay particular close attention to, and I want to bring your attention down to the fund balances. Well, your note in the general fund, the fund balance as of August 31, 2015, is just a little in excess of $309 million, which is the target that we were pretty much looking at when we were presenting the budget for 15-16. The increase from the year before was in total on this particular section was close to $20 million. And then the next schedule I do want to bring your attention to is on your report 2223, PDF document 4647. And this basically is what we look at when we do the budget work and adopt a budget. You'll see the general fund resources, the revenues and expenditures, debt service. We don't typically budget capital projects fund during the budget process. That's not part of the official budget. The one item that we do include separately that you consider is the child nutrition. It is included in the other governmental funds, but reporting purposes, it's aggregated with other special purpose funds. Those are the highlights of the audit report. Certainly would be more than happy to answer any questions. The final thing I did want to mention about the audit report is that as usual and as expected, we did receive clean opinion from the auditors, and we're very happy with that.
Okay, any questions from anyone on the board? Ms. Freeman?
I did want to reiterate that the finance committee did have a meeting right before this board meeting, and we talked in depth about the CAFR. I would like, this is an independent auditor's report to the board, and there is a letter to the board from our auditor, and I would, if you don't mind, call Adam to come up and just make a summary statement. As Mr. Rastolini said, you had mentioned that the report was completely clean and that our staff cooperated with the audit. But for the record, I'd like you to say a few words.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate the opportunity, and I'll be very brief because I know you guys have a lot to do. But so we have completed our audit and are issuing a clean audit opinion. There's within that document that you've seen, there's actually the beginning, the audit opinion that Mr. Epsolini pointed out to you, and then back in the back, the federal section that he mentioned. There's also 2 other pages on Weaver letterhead, and that's a report on internal control, and then a report on federal funds and internal control related to those federal funds. And so we did issue unmodified opinions on all of those things. And as you mentioned, Ms. Freeman, we certainly appreciate the work that management and staff did to prepare for us to be able to come out and perform the audit, because it really allows us to spend more time auditing the financial statements themselves instead of trying to piece together reconciliations or understand what the numbers mean. We can really dig in and feel like we're providing value to you guys. So, again, I can go into as much detail as you guys want, but I do appreciate the opportunity to step up and chat with you guys, and I can answer any questions that you do have.
Any other questions?
I just wondered where okay, here it is. Never mind, I found it.
Page 25 of the report.
Okay.
Or 203, I think. Is that?
Actually, there's 3 separate reports that you'll see from the.
I want the 5-page one that talks about That's
Okay,
what I want.
Okay. What we're talking about is the comment letter that you delivered. We'll actually forward that to you.
That's not in here?
No, because we don't get those until the evening of the presentation, so.
Correct. I've actually, I think I've got a couple of more copies possibly, or there are a couple more copies floating around.
Auditors are bad about that. They don't show any stuff.
But again, it's actually, so we did not issue a management letter or a comment letter this year. This letter that we did issue is our standard communication to governance. If we had any findings or anything like that, it would be in a separate letter outside of that letter that you've got sitting in front of you. And we didn't have any audit findings, so we didn't issue a separate letter.
One thing we will do too, Melissa, is to forward a clean copy, take all the draft language off, depending on what y'all do as far as the vote on this thing, along with that letter, so all those pieces will be together.
Okay. So this was provided for the Finance Committee?
Yes, it
This
actually
is
Adam
that.
passed that out at Finance Committee. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we need to approve the financial report.
I move approval, Ms. Reed.
Thank you. A second. Mr. Blunt? Oh, did you have a question?
second.
Okay.
Just one quick question, just for the record's sake. So I assume based on everything said, there's no reason for you to meet with the board in closed session?
I have nothing to communicate. We've communicated everything with the Finance Committee, and there's nothing that I would feel need to communicate with you guys.
Okay, good. That's all I had.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the financial report as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here and for staying.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item that we have is from administration, talking about maximum class size waivers. Mr. Galindo.
Went to the Finance Committee, but not to the board.
Pardon?
No, I'm good, Katie. Just in the future, anything that's presented to the Finance Committee, please have for the rest of the board.
Yeah, they don't pass them out until the Finance Committee, so we get them to you as fast as we can.
Okay, but David, when you're doing a presentation, just if you don't mind, if we can just run copies or just whatever you presented to the Finance Committee is just when it's presented to the board, if you'll just have it for the rest of us.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mrs. Reed, Dr. Woods, members of the board. At your place, you should have a copy, don't typically have this for you, but we did tonight, of the waivers for this evening. We are asking for approval of 14 waivers. You'll see in that report, in the upper left-hand section there, that we, out of 1,993 classes, we have 1.1 that we've exceeded, that we've exceeded the 22-to-1. But you'll see that the average is still well below the 22-to-1 at 20.15. And if you're wondering where specifically the 14 waivers were at, you'll see that at the bottom left part of that form. And so, I'm sorry? So hopefully, there is one more month.
Not coming up.
Should be in your blue folder, I think.
Oh, in the blue folder.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Okay.
Oh, there isn't in there. I apologize.
It's right now. It's not on
It's
mine.
attached. Oh, okay.
Well, I
Is it
clicked
attached?
on it, and oh, there it is. It's down at the bottom.
Somewhere there is a form, I promise.
There it is.
And,
There it is. Okay. It's just very small.
I'll give you the. Yeah, it is attached. So you'll see the numbers, or the school specifically. And at this time last year, just to give you an idea, we're at 21 this year. We were at 23 waivers at this meeting last year. There is one more month. The 22-to-1 is lifted on the 26th of February, which means on the 23rd, we will have the possibility of asking for future
Additional.
waivers at next month's meeting.
Okay.
So bottom line, we ask for approval of those 14 tonight.
Okay, do we have any questions about these, Mr. Blunt? Did you, is that from before? Ms. Freeman?
That was just an earlier.
Okay.
After this, though, I
pushing
did have
lights and they
comment.
keep coming
Thank you.
back, and there's Mr. Blunt again. Okay. Any questions for Mr. Galendo about this? Could you tell the rest of the board members how many new students we've had since we came back?
We've had especially in this area of the district that we're talking about, we've had a real influx of enrollment. And since the winter break, we've actually increased our enrollment across the district over 250 students. That is not the normal trend at all. That is outside of the norm. And that is what drove a lot of these requests for waivers. You can see a lot of these schools are in the same general portion of the district.
And we
A
do
lot of building going on.
we do have another Kinder that has a waiver other than McAndrews,
True.
too.
Also, that is true. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Okay.
Wow.
But we have two classes there. We have two classes there. So, 'cause they're both at.
Yeah, that's true, Katie.
Okay. So do I hear a motion to approve this?
I'll move
Mr.
approval
Blunt?
for the maximum class size waivers as presented.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the class size waivers as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reed.
Superintendent, it's up to you now.
The first item, Mrs. Reed, is actually the TASB grassroots survey. As the trustees know, TASB is getting ready to conduct grassroots meetings around the state, and this year they sent a survey to try to guide the conversation in those meetings. So we did have some conversation about this at our policy meeting. You have 3 documents attached to your agenda. The first one is a copy of the survey itself. And what they did is send a list of issues that they assume, I think rightly so, will perhaps be discussed in the next legislative session. After some conversation with some of you, I took the liberty to group those purely based on our situation in Northside. So no, this is not a kind of a public ed generally perspective. This is purely based on the perspective of Northside. Grouped those issues into 4 quadrants, just as a way to start conversation.
That would be all the ones that have a number 1.
Good point. Yes. How are they prioritized? Thank you. The ones with a 1 in my mind are the highest priorities to the next group and so forth.
Okay, so do we need to approve this? Oh, Ms. Freeman?
I just wanted to say a couple things. As you all know, as Dr. Woods had talked about, this is the beginning of, grassroots is the beginning of how TASB creates its advocacy agenda, and it's an opportunity for every single school district in the state of Texas to bring forth what they consider is important to the individual region grassroots meetings. That said, though, that every school district, every school board had this survey sent to them. So the survey will essentially stand on its own in one group. In the region grassroots meetings, the results of the survey will be presented in hopes of that particular grassroots committee or group of people, whomever comes to the grassroots meeting, gets together, and the thought is for them to select their top 5. That said, and after that, in those particular meetings, approximately on the average of maybe 7 people from each region are selected to become part of the Legislative Action Committee, which essentially would go forward and then have another meeting, it's over the course of a couple days, to look at what was discussed in each specific grassroots meeting, and come to their own opinion as to what's important to bring forward for the advocacy agenda. So all that said, it's a process, and it's a process that sometimes continues to change. The first grassroots meeting was Region 13, and as I said, the goal was to actually select 5. Well, that particular group of people selected their top 6 because they couldn't separate it. What Dr. Woods has done is, and I've talked to our TASB GR, we have, in hopes of doing this, presenting this to TASB as a board decision. So in essence, in the process, TASB's taken from the survey the top 10 and bring that forward to the grassroots meeting. So my suggestion would be to bring our perhaps top 10 here and bring those forward to present to TASB. Again, the survey stands on its own, and TASB staff has said that of the top 10, there's no number 1 or the first one that you list does not get any more weight than the 9th one or the 10th one that you list. So it'd be my suggestion to take maybe this group and come up with 10. Dr. Woods and in committee, we talked about 6 in the number 1 category. There's 3 in the number 2 category. Since we do have an opportunity to bring forth 10, I think we choose another one. That's a lot.
Comments from the rest of you?
I would like to add the active and retired teachers' health programs as a number 1 to go in with our 10. I think that's something that's important to our teachers and our staff.
And I just wanted to add, there was a section on,
It's okay, yeah.
Yeah, there was, after we met on this last week, I was just revisiting some of the things that are now surfacing that I'm not sure are as much of an issue in Northside, but we probably need to have discussion on it. And it's kind of under I was trying to see if it fell under anything like student safety. There was a lot of unfunded things we did that we were told to do by the state, but also that we needed to do for student safety. But then the whole issue of cyberbullying and some of the social media concerns that they didn't just now surface, but they were brought back to the surface. And there was a legislator that was interviewed that really said, we don't even have good technology here. We're behind the ball as a state in looking at legislation. I'm not saying Northside, we're behind the ball, but, maybe we need to look at it in a preventative, proactive way, so that, and I know we're doing things at our schools, but we really didn't talk about it, and should it be on here as an issue we bring to the table? I don't know, and I didn't know what to call it. I had student safety, cyberbullying, digital citizenship, but this whole idea of social media. I do remember when I was at Brandeis, though, the APs, we were sitting around talking, and they were saying what a concern it is with the kids in social media and how it causes so many outside school concerns that are brought back into the school and impedes learning at times, and maybe it's tied to discipline. I'm not sure. I don't know how anyone else felt, but
that young man recently from Alamo Heights.
Ms. Freeman?
So a couple points to Melissa's comment. Active and retired teachers health program is in our top 9 as in that ranking order.
Oh, so you're taking first and second.
Well, the way we talked about it in committee, those that have a number 1 and a number 2 next to it are 9. So if we can take another one from 3 and 4, I had a thought on that. And Carol, to your point, if you scroll down, we were also asked to list any additional issues of importance. Yeah. So we could additionally write that in on top of these other 3 pieces. And what will happen at the grassroots meeting is every single one of these items will be presented to the grassroots group, and you can choose those as your top 5 too. That's the way the meetings have gone there's all kinds of things that could happen when you get a bunch of trustees together. But that would be the intent. So from number 3 and number 4, I was thinking perhaps school finance equity. That's just a thought. That's certainly, we talk about adequacy and equity, and that was just something that I thought we could add into the mix.
Mr. Blunt, you're next.
Joseph definitely has something. All right. Okay. Just real quick, Joseph. I'm sorry. My only fear with, I understand your suggestion, but I think our focus has gotten, I know it's important, but everything is funding and resources now. And somewhere we need to start shifting back a little bit to looking at other areas too. I think we've gotten that story sort of down to some extent across the state. I wish there was more focus also toward performance and things along those particular lines, in addition to the theme we know is very important. I was actually going to say student discipline, because I know that's going to come up from a lot of different angles.
And that could certainly tie into what Carol's talking about.
So that would be my suggestion.
Was student discipline their word?
Yeah.
Oh.
Let's see what their glossary calls it, Carol.
Joseph? Go ahead.
Just real quickly to kind of piggyback on Dr. Har, regarding the presentation I attended at Fisher and with SAPD and which is law enforcement and the FBI who coincides with it, and as an advocacy, it's across the board, texting, if it's online, electric email. Anything to do, it's classified across the board as internet safety, because now you have your palm devices that are cell phones that are now internet based, and so it's kind of through the federal guidelines and as a state, they're explaining the penal code is, anyone under 18 considered a minor. So I'm not trying to elaborate, but just as it ties into student discipline, I'm assured that there's policy on that.
So are we suggesting another one saying student discipline and safety? You want to do it that way?
Well, in their student discipline, they say they include bullying.
Mm-hmm.
They say schools have been criticized for how they address student misbehavior, ranging from disruption of class to bullying.
Okay.
So if it would just have that kind of technology twist to it, I think we could capture
And you'd like that included as one of the top 10, or would you
either
like that
or,
as an
like
extra
Karen said,
additional issue?
well, I would support what Bobby said too, pushing student discipline into knowing that it has kind of a global meaning for us, but if we wanted to bullet it separately.
Okay. So we're hearing that one as well as the finance equity. And don't know. What was that?
Okay?
Hmm?
So what are you thinking, Karen?
I think the conversation about student discipline is a good topic. What we're not going to do at Grassroots like we normally have done, some of you have been there, we're not going to take the time to wordsmith these into priorities. So it'll be the job of those people in the LAC, some staff people would get together and help with that. So all the comments that you've talked about could certainly be included in this priority. So that would be we could do that and put that in the top 10. I'm good with that.
So I'm hearing that we like the way they have been classified, and we would add student discipline into the top 10 and take all the number 1s and 2s, plus student discipline. Is that right?
Yeah.
Everybody's comfortable with that?
Yeah.
One's
Bobby?
to
Oh, sorry.
enhance student discipline.
Can I clarify something since this is recorded for the record? When I was saying we a second ago on the funding and resources, I meant the we I was talking about was the TASB we, not the Northside we. I want to make that very clear. When we started the grassroots, how that shift has sort of changed and stuff. So that's what I was talking about on the we aspect, considering that part of it. Still definitely student discipline, but I wanted to clarify that in case somebody is
Okay.
looking at this and ask a question later.
So is this need a vote, or do we need to vote on this? Is everybody comfortable with that? And if so, somebody make a motion.
I move we accept the top 10 that we discussed, to include the ones, the twos, and then student discipline
Second.
as our top 10.
Okay.
And
Any
the
other
additional-
discussion?
And can we add the additional issues that were listed in number 3? Because
Sure.
that needs to go in the whole report
Okay,
Sure.
to the motion.
okay.
And the additional
Those are-
items mentioned under number 3.
Those are our recommendations, the additional ones. Okay, okay.
The only thing is that officially we can't take a vote though, unless I'm reading it, because it says discussion.
Okay.
So we can note it for the record, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Good catch, Bobby.
Yeah.
Last year wasn't me.
Way to go.
As long as
Okay.
we've got consensus, we can submit the
Consensus
survey
is
that
good.
way, if that's okay with the
Yes.
Yeah.
the board.
That's fine. Okay.
And then I just have one quick question of Karen. Has there been any discussion yet of a focus on mental health? And I don't want to adopt another initiative in our schools, but, teacher awareness of mental health issues, things like that. Because it just seems it's a national issue, it's a state issue, but it kind of hasn't hit this level yet.
My thought is that's a question for Dr. Woods. TASB has just started this process regarding the advocacy agenda, and as a board, we've not, other than what you see here, nothing has been discussed.
I'm okay keeping it keeping it about TASB right now, and we can discuss that maybe in academics or something else. Great, thanks.
Okay. So we don't need to vote on this, but you have our consensus to take this forward. Is there anything we need to do with this advocacy agenda? It's just there for our information, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. So I think we're through with that agenda item, so we'll look at the future agenda items.
Okay. In your folder, the blue folder at your place, you've got several items, a couple of invitations for retirement events that are coming up later this week, a couple of cards and gifts from campuses. I think you've got something there from O'Connor and from Stubing in your packet. You've got the future items list. And I'd like to, if I could, on February the 9th, we do have a called meeting and need to schedule a level 4 grievance, so we'd proposed a 6 o'clock.
Which grievance?
Cook. I'd like to see if we can get a quorum for the 9th at 6 o'clock so that we can set that.
That's fine with me.
If you'll check calendar.
Can you all check calendars, please? See if you already have the date of the 9th as a special called meeting. It's a long meeting.
Then, as you can see, we've got a couple of items on the 9th. That'll be the first budget work session where we'll look at revenue estimates, talk about assumptions that we'll make as we start budget planning for 16-17. And then, as you can see, we've got a considerable agenda on the 23rd of February. That will include first conversation about school naming for the one elementary school that we've got on the list to name, as well as the coal boundary will come back to the board that evening.
Okay. Lots more contractors for jobs.
Yes, ma'am. A lot of summer work. The other thing you've got in your, a couple of other things, I guess, is you've got an email. Congressman Castro had indicated he was going to visit a school this week. They've changed the time by 30 minutes, so you have that email.
What day is that?
Thursday.
It's Thursday.
Looks like Thursday.
Pushed back, meaning later.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And then you've also got a copy of our internal use for contact information for board members. If you'll, Ms. McGee's highlighted the email. If you'll just make sure that the contacts you have in your email are these. We did have an employee with same name as one of us. I can't remember who you told me. It was Mr. Medina. So we just want to make sure that the information we have is accurate.
I need to change mine because it was hacked, and poor Dr. Woods was going to send in money for my new.
I know. I was worried about you.
Krakow.
Yeah, I was worried about you.
Yeah,
I was.
And then I couldn't get a hold
Contact
of
you,
him.
I know.
contact
Made it
you
worse.
immediately. I did. I texted
Yes.
you. I was worried about
Well,
you.
wasn't
I
even the
remember
right
you
number.
said something
Yeah.
to me about it.
I tried to call her and couldn't get a hold of her.
Yeah, I did too. I left her a message.
I want to go to Krakow, but not for a New River or whatever it was.
I think that covers it, Mrs. Reed.
Katie, I've got
Okay.
a question on it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
On the that's March 22nd. Okay, so we have on March 22nd, Brian, we have approval of schematic design for Paul Taylor Fieldhouse and approval of the contractor for renovations. So how would we have done that if we're just approving the schematic at the same time we're approving the contractor?
Yeah, that'll have to move. The contractor will have to move.
Okay, and then, I don't know, it's for building committee, but I'd like to have us have a discussion in relation to, we do CM at risk and then we do competitive sale proposals. I think we need to talk about that and the impact it's having on our bids too. So if we can add that to the February building committee.
Okay.
Did y'all get the answer on February 9th? Did we have a quorum?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. And then
Well, you can't be there, I take
I
it?
thought I could, but now I just messed up with something else.
Oh.
But you got a number?
I think we're okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I would just like to just quickly ask, when Bobby asked Mr. Tidwell if he had anything that he needed to meet with us in closed session on, he made the comment that he didn't think so because he had met with the finance committee. And so I just want to make sure that across the board, we remember that our committees are just advisory. I mean, they're just, they are not, I just, so that if someone meets with a committee, that they don't feel like they have then met with the board, because they haven't. And so if we can just keep that in mind. And David, that's why I brought up the having any information, so that just concerned me when he said that, because he didn't meet with the board. So if there was something he felt he'd tell the finance committee, that needed to be told to the board. And so we can just keep that in mind, when we have someone that meets with a committee.
Yeah, I think we have to, there's a lot of things that come before committee, though.
Right.
The information doesn't come directly, so.
No, and I'm okay with that but what I took away from his comment was
Yeah.
that he felt he had met with the finance committee, and then that would have met whatever you were asking him, and that would not have, had he needed to
Well, there
meet.
were no issues, I think is
Right.
what he was trying to say,
Right,
so,
but I'm just,
yeah.
I just want us to keep that in mind on that. If it comes before the board,
Okay. Okay.
Katie,
Yes.
did we approve the consent agenda?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Long time ago.
I didn't remember doing that.
Yeah.
I thought we skipped it, so.
Yeah. No, we did. Okay, so, at
Okay,
this time,
okay.
we will,
Okay.
start executive session, beginning the Board of Trustees on January 19th, 2016, beginning at 9:20 p.m. We'll convene in closed meeting in accordance with Texas Government Code Sections 551.072 and 551.074. To talk about sites, appointments, and superintendent mid-year evaluation. And we will be in the superintendent's office. Thank you all for staying. The Board of Trustees on January 19th, beginning at 10:28, will convene in open meeting.
I hope that I
We have
caused
some
this time.
action to take place. Do I hear a motion?
I move approval of all of the
Appointments.
as discussed in closed session.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the appointments that were presented in closed session. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Great. So the only other thing on our now reconvened open meeting is the superintendent's mid-year evaluation. And we all think he's doing a fantastic job. And if you all want, is there anybody else that would like to make some comments, since we've already had the discussion somewhat? But just to keep up the good work that you're doing and take a little more time off so that you don't get worn out too fast here. Any other comments that anybody would like to make?
I just, I think that when you look at the number of superintendents that we have had, we are very fortunate when you think about the average tenure of a superintendent in the state, I think is what, 3 or 4 years? And I think that Brian has continued the foundation that has been created over the years with superintendents, but he's, you know, you always want your district to be striving for more. And I think as a superintendent that he has made that step, that everything that our prior superintendents did, Brian has stepped up and taken to another level. And I think that that's very obvious by the way that he has handled challenges that this district has had this school year.
Good. Thank you. Karen, did you have something you want to say also or not? Somehow your light's on here.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to push the light on, but great job, Dr. Woods.
Thank you.
I think we all say we could do a hip hip hooray.
Absolutely.
And keep up the good work, so, thank you. Thank you. So, with that having been done, this board ended its meeting at 10:31.